Grab a pint, grab your lineup. We're about to tap into fantasy. Welcome back to Tap Into Fantasy, the podcast with a professional fantasy mind and an amateur beer palate. I'm Lance Gandy. You can find me on X at LG_fantasy. This is the Friday Pour, the episode where I disguise drinking alone as fantasy football research. Today I'm trying a Zywiec Porter. I looked this up. It's the Zywiec Porter for the first time. It's dark, it's heavy, and it honestly looks like something that should come with a warning label. While I figure out whether this is a hidden gem or just a really bad idea, we'll break down 2 players at each position who could carry your team, and 2 who might make you question why you even play this game. Fridays are about suffering through strange beers, talking lineups, and pretending this all counts as productivity. So put on some headphones, grab your favorite beer, wine, water, whatever in your glass. Sit your booty down and let's toast. May the best drafts of your past be the worst of your future. Let's tap in. Okay, like I said, I'll be trying the Zywiec Porter. I did Google how to say that, so, I'm probably dumbing it down in my U.S. accent, but that's basically how you say it. The brewery calls it a dark, strong beer brewed according to the traditional recipe from 1881 with the Munich malt and special malts for caramel and color plus the highest quality aromatic hops. It's 9.5%, so not for the faint of heart. So they have a Zywiec Beer Fans website. It's literally made by fans of the beer and has weird facts about some of the beers and the brewery. This is what they say about the porter. Its flavor and health-giving properties have been known and appreciated by generations of beer lovers. That's music to my ears. I've been looking for a replacement for vitamins, kale, and good life decisions. Before I decide if this porter is keeping me alive or slowly finishing the job, let's check in on what the internet philosophers have to say. These are real reviews from Untappd. Welcome to the scrolls of the booze realm. Okay, here's the first review that comes from a dude in Massachusetts. Shrimply a classic. Where else am I going to find a 9.5% bottle of beer for under $3 that actually tastes good? Okay, honestly, nothing screams I drink alone like dad jokes with no audience. The picture that comes with it is the beer posed in front of a single steak cooking on the stove. One steak. So it's just him, a beer, and a lonely piece of meat. And it's ironic because I'm doing the exact same thing, drinking this and talking to you guys. Okay, I'll throw in another gem later in the episode that's just dying to be picked apart by me. Before we jump into the next part, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you don't have to rely on me showing up in your dreams to remind you about fantasy football. If this beer really does have health benefits, then opening it right now basically counts as self-care, right? Let's find out. It's opening draft time, the moment when I decide if a beer deserves applause, pity, or a firm side-eye. My side-eye is dangerous. If it's good, I'll probably overreact and act like I just discovered the secret to life. If it's bad, well, I'm legally allowed to be dramatic. Today we've got the Zywiec Porter. It's apparently been brewed in Poland since 1881. I'm expecting perfection after 144 years. Do you know a beer that deserves a medal or a timeout? Let me know. I'll risk life and limb, or, taste buds, for the sake of research. Email tapintofantasy@gmail.com, and it could earn a spot on the next episode, and our legendary Big Beer Board. So last week I tried the Kronenberg 1664 Blanc and gave it a poor score of coriander. I hardly knew her. It is dead last on the big beer board. 2 out of 10, I would not recommend. It tasted like artificial citrus sugar nonsense. Like it was a freaking slog to get through. Okay, well, let's pour this porter and hope it magically gives me some abs. Today I have my Martin House brewing glass, which is a brewery in Fort Worth, Texas. Alright, let's start this pour. It's very, very dark beer, just a tiny bit of head. Kind of chocolatey in color. And it's not all going to fit in there. Yeah, I don't even know what to tell you about the smell. It smells good. That's what I'm going to tell you. All right, let's give it the old college try. Wow, that's darker than I thought it was going to be. A little bitter on the first taste. You know, so I bought this beer at it was this little liquor store in Denton, and this thing was the same price as like a Steel Reserve 40. It obviously blows it out of the water. Everything blows Steel Reserve out of the water. So I'm getting some chocolate, some coffee, pretty heavy alcohol finish. I mean, it's 9.5% with just some bitterness, roasty caramel. It's super creamy though. It's a nice bounce back from that cotton candy train wreck I drank last week. Alright, well, I'll keep sipping this Black Beast throughout the episode and give you my pour score at the end. So, like I said, this is the Friday pour episode. I'm going to be giving you 2 players that should boom and 2 players that should bust for every position for this Sunday and Monday games. You can find my full rankings every week on tappintofantasy.com. I have week 2 rankings up in all scoring types, as well as defense, kickers, everything you could dream of. All right, let's kick it off at quarterback. Drake May was rough last week against a Raiders defense that might not even crack average. Now he gets the Dolphins, a team that just made Daniel Jones look like the second coming of Steve Young. Like Danny Dimes ran in 2 touchdowns and somehow finished with the 4th highest yards per attempt in week 1, which is basically like finding out your microwave is also a Ferrari. Like, check out this graphic from True Media. Miami blitzed on over half their plays, but still had one of the worst pressure rates in the league. Like, that's like sprinting an entire marathon and still finishing last. The Patriots line let the Raiders live in the backfield, but that shouldn't be nearly as big of a problem against this defense. Like, May should get more chances to scramble and actually make something happen. And don't even get me started on Miami's cornerback room. It was already shaky, and now Ethan Bonner and Storm Duck are out. And yes, the obligatory Storm Duck joke. I can't tell if, it's an NFL player or a Mega Man villain. Either way, they're not suiting up, and this Dolphins team looks like it's crumbling. Like, fire up May this week and laugh your way to the fantasy bank. The second boom QB is Matt Stafford, the grizzled vet who plays every game like he just got out of a chiropractor's office. Like, if you saw only the box score last week, you'd think he struggled. But according to a graphic from @JoeA_NFL on X, Stafford was actually one of the top graded quarterbacks of the week. It turns out box scores don't account for your teammates tripping over themselves. The Rams couldn't run the ball. He was pressured on over 40% of his dropbacks, and Colby Parkinson decided to practice his Butterfingers routine. Like, despite all that, when Stafford had time, he was cooking. And now he gets the Titans, a defense that is aggressively average. I mean, Puka looked great. His hair looked like it belonged in a shampoo commercial, and Devontae Adams won't be stuck battling Derek Stingley again. If Stafford's back doesn't give out mid-game, he's a strong play in 2 QB leagues. Think of him as fantasy's fine china. Fragile, but valuable when you actually bring him out. So let's move on to the QBs who could sink your week faster than a group chat that just won't shut up about their kids' piano recitals. First up, Patrick Mahomes. I know it kind of feels like a crime to say it, but he's set up for a quiet week. Like it's a Super Bowl rematch with Philly, and last time didn't exactly end with confetti for him. Let's bring up that QB chart and look at his week one. Mahomes was rated the same as Spencer Rattler, a D plus, with 12 bad throws and 2 balls that could have been picked. It's not exactly MVP form. He also led the team in rushing, which is like finding out your surgeon also drives the Uber that's taking you to the hospital. It's not comforting. He's stuck playing hero ball because the run game is just non-existent. He doesn't trust his line, and now he's throwing passes to Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyquan Thornton. That's just less a receiving core and more a collection of guys you pick up in free agency after your starters pull hammies. Xavier Worthy is now doubtful to play, and even when he does come back, I mean, with his frame, one solid hit and he's turning back into dust. The Eagles didn't play up to their last year's standards in week one, but they didn't have Jalen Carter because he decided to hawk Tua, and they have a few new pieces still learning the scheme. This is still a group that can swarm KC's thin skill position guys. Like, don't expect fireworks from Mahomes this week. More like sparklers in the rain. All right, one more bust QB for the week, Michael Penix Jr. So honestly, I thought he played pretty well against Tampa. He even scrambled a few times, which for him is basically like spotting a unicorn. Like, sure, he had 11 bad throws and 1 interceptable ball, but he did a nice job getting rid of it and just not eating sacks. That may be different this week. He's walking into a completely different storm. Like, according to at XEP_network on X, the Bucks blitzed 10 times and managed 3 pressures. The Vikings blitzed 14 times and just bullied Caleb Williams all day with 15 pressures. Meanwhile, the Falcons' run game looked miserable against Tampa, averaging 2.5 yards per attempt. Like, that's not a ground attack. That's light cardio. With their tackle, Caleb McGarry, is still on injured reserve, the Vikings are going to be salivating every time it's 2nd or 3rd and long. Like, maybe Darnell Mooney helps a little, because I just got the notification a few minutes ago he's good to go. But honestly, this feels like a setup. Like, the Falcons are walking into a trap game, and Penix is the bait. This episode is powered by Dubby Energy. It's my go-to for a clean boost with 0 crash and 0 jitters, whether I'm grinding out drafts or just need that mid-afternoon push. No junk, no guilt, just focus. Hit the link in the description and use promo code TAPINTOFANTASY for 10% off. Dubby brings the energy. You bring the winning picks. All right, let's talk running backs, starting with James Conner. This one feels like stealing candy from a baby because you can basically pencil in any running back facing the Panthers and just call it a boom. Last week, they let the Jags run for 6.3 yards a carry, and Jacksonville doesn't exactly have an offensive line that scares anyone. Now they get Arizona, and Kyler Murray running around like a caffeinated toddler should only make life easier for Conner. Like, the Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites, which means the game plan is basically going to be hand it to Conner until the clock runs out. This is as close to a free square as you get in fantasy. James Conner is in a smash spot. Start him everywhere and thank the Panthers for existing. So a sleeper for this week is Vikings running back Jordan Mason. And honestly, the dude is low-key a tank. He's like that quiet friend at a party. Like, you don't notice him at first, then suddenly he's 6 beers deep and hasn't lost a beer pong game all night. Next Gen Stats has this metric called rush yards over expected per attempt. Basically, how much more a guy gets than the average back would in the same situation. Mason was 3rd in the league last year and was already 5th in week 1. Like, check this out. At Alec_Lewis pointed out, Mason averaged 3.86 yards after contact last game. That's the best any Vikings running back has posted since Kevin O'Connell took over as head coach. So not only is he trucking people, he's putting up historic numbers for this team in his first game. Like, everyone thought he would just be a change of pace guy behind Aaron Jones, but Mason had 16 touches to Jones's 11. Outsnapped him, and he even looked solid in blitz pickup. Like, the only reason his box score didn't pop is because Jones got the touchdown on a long reception. That makes Mason a sneaky trade target right now before people catch on. And now he gets the Falcons. They slowed down Bucky Irving last week, but they're not exactly an elite run defense. Like, Mason tore up the Bears in week 1, and with the Vikings projected to be playing from ahead this week, the volume should tilt in his favor again. Like, don't be surprised if he turns into a league-winning type asset. All right, let's move to the running back performances that will basically be the football equivalent of your Wi-Fi cutting out during the best part of a movie. The first in line is Isaiah Pacheco. Check out this tweet by @RyanJ_Heath. Like, his usage was depressing last week. He lost most of his goal line and short yardage role to Kareem Hunt and is sharing on passing downs with Hunt and Brashard Smith. Like, I even tried to look up his rush yards over expected on Next Gen, and he didn't even have enough attempts to qualify. Like, imagine being so irrelevant that the stat sheet ghosts you. To make matters worse, the Chiefs had the second highest pass rate over expected in week 1. Translation, even if the game is close, they're still chucking it around, and Pacheco is not exactly Mr. Target Share. He did look explosive in the tiny handful of touches he had, but right now he's basically your fantasy benches version of that friend who only texts when they need to borrow money. Like, not startable, but maybe worth keeping around just in case. Okay, let's talk about DeAndre Swift. So, admittedly, he can be fun on passing downs, but the man has the vision of a drunk guy trying to find his Uber in a Walmart parking lot. Like, remember that rush yards over expected stat from Next Gen? He's the very best at being worst in that stat. In 2024, he was dead last, right behind Braylon Allen and Javonte Williams. In week 1, he actually beat out 5 other backs, but was at negative 1.19. Now he gets the Lions, who just stuffed Josh Jacobs at 3.5 yards per carry, and he had a better offensive line. Like, that's the same Josh Jacobs who had 391 more rushing yards over expected than Swift last year. So Swift will pick up a couple catches just so his fantasy box score doesn't look like a bagel. But let's not forget, Detroit gave him away for pennies when Ben Johnson was still the OC. That was basically Johnson leaving a note on Swift's locker that said, "Good luck somewhere else, champ." Like, they want Kyle Monangai or Roshan Johnson to be the hammer in this backfield. Swift's never been that guy. Like, he's also been allergic to goal line work his entire career, so somebody else should probably grab that too. There's just no clean path to Swift having a good day against this defense. If you're still here, you either like fantasy football or just enjoy listening to me roast beer reviews. Either way, hit that like button and subscribe so I can keep doing both. Alright, time to dive back into the Scrolls of the Booze Realm with another Untappd review. So this review is translated from German. I wouldn't say it just tastes like ass. I expected worse. That's the kind of review you leave when you're legally not allowed to give a compliment. And the photo he left looks like a frat house scene, except everyone's 35. The couch has probably seen more trauma than most therapists, and the guy holding the can is making a face like he just discovered what motor oil tastes like. Like, judging by that look, I can't tell if he's drinking beer or just realized that it's his 12th year on that same couch. You can practically smell the Axe body spray and unpaid utility bills in that picture. Like, nothing says life is going great like still splitting rent with your pledge brothers at 35. Okay, let's forge ahead to wide receivers I like betting on for week one. So Teteroa McMillan looked every bit like the beast we thought he'd be. Like, check out this graph from at RayGQ. He had a 26.5% target share, 40.5% air yard share, and 1.94 yards per route run. It's elite usage, but Bryce Young wasn't on his game, so the results weren't all the way there. It's only a matter of time before they both get on the same page and could easily become a wide receiver one with what he showed. He's going up against a mid-Arizona defense, and the Panthers should have a trailing game script once again. That means 34-plus Bryce Young passes and so many opportunities for McMillan to erupt. He doesn't have his comfy Adam Thielen anymore. Jalen Coker is on IR, and Xavier Legette couldn't keep his feet in bounds if the ball was between the hashes. Like, McMillan is the only guy he fully trusts right now. They have one of the best rest of season schedules for QBs and wide receivers, so he's also a buy low candidate. All right, I get it. Calvin Ridley just made your fantasy team cry in week one, but, that's the risk when you go up against arguably the best defense player in the NFL. According to at the 33rd team FB, Ridley ran 27 of his 32 routes against Patrick Surtain. Surtain allowed 1 target and 0 catches. 1 and 0. That's basically Ridley playing catch with a brick wall. Against everyone else, he ran 5 routes. He had 4 catches on those routes for 27 yards. That's not setting your lineup on fire, but obviously they want to get him the ball as much as possible. This week, they face the Rams. The front 7 is very solid, and Cam Ward should probably take a few hits, but the secondary isn't anything special. Ward has just that special arm talent, and even though it didn't fully show up on the box score, we saw glimpses in week one. Like, expect the Titans to be playing from behind, throwing a ton, and also just running more plays than the 55 they managed last week. Like, the NFL average is 62 or 63. With the trailing game script, I'm expecting Ridley should see 10-plus targets and make you forget the rough start. I guess I'm just piling on the Bears today, but DJ Moore sort of took a back seat against the Vikings in week one. Like, Rome Odunze was in on 63 snaps. DJ Moore only had 56. Odunze had 9 targets. Moore had 5. They did try to get Moore involved in the run game with 3 rushes, but that didn't amount to anything. He also lost a fumble, just to add insult to injury. Like, he's just never been on the same page with Caleb. Even going back to last year, Odunze easily outpaced him in percentage of team air yards as a rookie. Moore had less than Rashad Bateman and Kayshon Boutte last year. Like, the coaching staff was calling him out this summer for quitting on the team at times last year. I think they specifically drafted Luther Burden to eventually replace his skill set and are just waiting for 2026 to make that happen. Like, I don't see how this year is any different than last year when DJ Moore was wide receiver 31 in points per game. Now he gets an elite Lions defense in Detroit where they're 6.5-point underdogs. Like, this is not the blow-up game for Chicago. It's a blow-down game, if that makes sense. It didn't make sense. That was pretty bad. But you get what I mean. Okay, this one is going to be short. I talked to you about what Patrick Surtain did to Calvin Ridley. Michael Pittman is similar in talent to Ridley and is now that receiver who is going up against PS2. Like, I know that Indy was the feel-good story of week one, and the Jones-Pittman connection looked really good. That was against an imploding Dolphins team. This game has a chance to get really nasty. Like, let's bring up that pressure rate graph from before. The Dolphins blitzed the most of week one, still couldn't get much pressure, which means Daniel Jones had clean pockets and less defenders in coverage. The Broncos, on the other hand, blitzed around an average amount of time, and had the highest pressure rate in the NFL. Daniel Jones under pressure is no bueno. This graphic from @Patton Analytics shows the QBs who sucked most under pressure in 2024. Hello, Caleb Williams. Just pitiful. But you see Daniel Jones right above Will Levis. You don't want to be near Will Levis in any stat. Like, this should be a comeback to reality game for the Colts, and Pittman will suffer because of it. Do me a solid and leave me a review for the pod. I promise it'll age better than half the takes I made in August. Alright, I only do one boom tight end every week because the position is basically a wasteland in fantasy. This week it's Hunter Henry. I called him a sleeper before week 1 because he has this weird kinship with Drake May. Like, when May starts, Henry just becomes a target magnet. Last year, he ranked 6th among tight ends in targets in those games. Week 1, exact same story. 8 targets, tied for 6th again. Consistency is boring in real life, but fantasy gold. Like, Henry is slotting into the Zach Ertz 2024 role, where all he does is catch passes and quietly crush it while everyone undervalues him. This week, he gets a juicy matchup against the Dolphins defense, which is very targetable. Tyler Warren carved him up last week with 7 catches for 76 yards. Don't be shocked if Henry does something similar. This is the kind of safe, underrated play you can lean on without sweating bullets. So everyone seems to be looking Kyle Pitts' way again after he threw up a usable line of 7 for 59 in the opener. Just don't be a simp and fall for that trap again. Darnell Mooney is now back to take away targets. They're facing a ridiculous defense in Minnesota, and Kyle Pitts has shown us what he is over the last 3 years. He still looked awful trying to block, so he's going to be taken off the field more than we want. They're only projected for 20 points in this one. There will be some matchups when he's playable. This just isn't it. Okay, I hope you got something useful out of this boom and bust week 2 breakdown. I'll do one more sip of this Zywiec Porter and make my conclusion. Okay, so I think this goes 11th on the big beer board, right in front of the Tucher Fest beer. It was pretty good, and it definitely outplayed its just absurdly cheap price, but more bitter and roasty than I thought it'd be. The final pour score for this porter is cheap thrill, strong bite, bitter ending. Alright, but that's going to do it for this episode of Tap Into Fantasy. If you liked what you heard, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the show find other degenerates like you. Hit me up on X at LG_fantasy or email tapintofantasy@gmail.com with any start-sit questions you have. Thanks for tapping in, and until next time, happy pours, happy scores.